actually interviewed the mother of the suspect. According to Bruno, Brown's mother is, quote, not making excuses for her son. She says what he did was atrocious, it was horrible, and it was wrong. The point of her speaking isn't to make her son out to be a victim. He's not. She says she just wanted to speak about the arrest to highlight how the system failed and things got to this point. So
I cannot tell you how valuable what his mother says is. It is very hard. I would find it hard if it was my kid, right? I wouldn't want to say anything. I wouldn't want that. Of course I wouldn't want to. Of course I wouldn't. But she says some very important, poignant things about the system, and you should listen to her and what she's saying.
Here's some relevant information from her, the mother. Brown was arrested 14 times for a variety of offenses and was sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Mom says this. This is his mother saying this. She knows her son was in trouble. She said it. Here, we keep going.
For armed robbery. He served that time and then was released. Now, afterward, he returned home to live with his mother, who reports he was unstable and psychotic. She actually had him involuntarily committed.
She was so afraid of her own son, she had him committed. Our system has failed. So he already was violent, arrested 14 times, convicted at least once, did 5 years, came home. His own mother said, this dude is crazy. I'm afraid of him. Has him committed. And our horrible, broken system says, no, you're good. Where was his help, if there was any? Now you might go, but Larry, if he's had help, should we keep him locked up? Yes! Now, Robbie's going to agree with me on this one. And he says the same thing I say. As a libertarian, I don't want people locked up. Of course I don't. I want a fair system. Of course I do. Arrested 14 times, convicted once, and then his own mom puts him away. You need to be locked up, my friend. If that makes me a bad guy, I accept your title. You need to be locked up. If that means forever, then so be it. If you can be repaired, that's fine too, whatever the case may be. You have shown that you are, to Andrea's point, thank you, Andrea, also a libertarian right with me, a threat to society. Not, I assume, could be, maybe. No. You have proven it multiple times. At that point, you get to be locked up. I know you might, but what if it's your son? Of course I don't want that. Of course I don't want that, but it doesn't mean it shouldn't happen, right? I never want to get in trouble. Doesn't mean I shouldn't, right? So my desire doesn't mean it should be true. Well, that's what your mind does. But others, that's not true. But my point being, that's terrible. So yes, let me grab if I could. Dugovic, thank you for the $5, my friend. Make public unalivings great again. Problem is, as Fedor Dostoevsky points out, we'll overcorrect and build gulags. Humans cannot measure punishment. Yes, and someone brought that up, and I'm going to cover that, Duke. I'm actually against that. I don't want us to glorify violence. And that's what public unaliving does. It glorifies violence. We should not glorify violence. It doesn't mean we can't put somebody away or do whatever's required, right? But I don't want the unaliving part public. That's not that again is virtue signaling. That's unnecessary. DeCarlo should have been put away, and he should have stayed away for a long time until somehow he can prove that he was no longer violent or no longer in trouble. And he didn't. They simply did what government always does, which is you check the box. You go away for X years, you're out. You put you away with so-and-so, you're out. That's what government always does. There's no way of helping him. There was no way of doing that. It has to work this way. And I know that sucks. But you could do something easy. You could, if you're worried that government cannot measure punishment, I'm not saying you're wrong at all. And of course we'll build gulags, because what will happen? We'll create a prison industrial complex. Of course we will, because that's what governments do. But you could create a system to where you have private organizations that are run by local communities that then judge the guy. I'm not joking. What's wrong with private communities, local communities, where he has to go back into that community, similar to a parole board, similar but not the same, where maybe you'd have 3 different groups who would locally deal with it themselves, who would be professionals, however the state would decide professional, right, whatever that would be. They would then judge him. If 2 out of 3 say he's safe to come in, he goes back in. And they would listen to the mom. and they would listen to friends and the victim. They listen to them, similar to a parole board, right? Similar style, but it'd be to go back into that community. Parole board isn't for the community. That community, he's going to go back to his mom's house, right? What's mom saying? Back to the community. What are they all saying? Are they going, this dude, no. Then he stays. If that means 5 minutes, if that means 50 years, how can you find a better system than that, right? You don't want to have a system to where the individuals in the system themselves have a vested interest in keeping him locked up. You want the community to be like, no, we want him back into our community because he's now good again. We want his mom, him back with his family. If he's good again, if he's not, then he stays. This mom piece is a big piece. It's a big piece. Looking over at Rumble, Sheridan says, mom is incredibly strong. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So, yeah. Sheridan says, Brian Setzer should be a weather forecaster. I would buy that. I could do that. I would take weather forecaster. I would take that. It's fine. He can, tell us when it's going to rain and stuff. That's fine. Okay. I can deal with that. So I know I got a little upset. I know I did. But if you like what you're hearing, then do me a favor. Click the button known as Lima India Kilo Echo. Click that like button. It does matter. If you click it, people will see it. It'll share. People understand it. It's about real things like this. I'm giving you what I think is really important. I'm telling you how we can fix this, and I'll cover that too in a minute. And also repost this. If you haven't shared this, why do you hate the children? Love the children. Don't be an isterophobe. Share this. If you don't share, repost this, you are an isterophobe, whichever one you hate most. You're that one. You're the phobe or ist you hate most. That's you. Or unless you repost this or share it someplace, like on Facebook or someplace, then you're not that. That's how you can repent and not be the ist or phobe that you can't stand. See, I'm giving you salvation here. Look at that. Sharpe way gives you salvation. Not too shabby. I like it. All right, let me keep going for a little bit longer.
He was diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Yep.
But after 2 weeks, the courts released him. She refused to let him return home. He became homeless.
Look at this. Okay. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And how many times? Oh, I'm not going to be triggered, D. I won't be triggered. I'll be calm. How many times have I told you that our judges have failed us? Our judges are shit. This is North Carolina judges. They're shit too. They have failed us. Just said, diagnosed with schizophrenia. 2 weeks, let him out. You cured him in 2 weeks. You did that. 2 weeks. Judge said, yep, cured. Judge cured. Out you go. Well done. And he goes home, and his mom says, I want you in the house. You gonna kill somebody. You crazy. Mom cares about her family and knows that her kid, this is his mom. And it's her son. I want you, for those of you who have children, think of how afraid you have to be of your own child for you to abandon your own child. If you have children, I want you to imagine how afraid you have to be of your child to throw your own child out. That's how afraid she was. No, can't come home. So now he's homeless. So the system said, you're a schizophrenic, you're violent. You know what you need to be? Homeless, because what could go wrong? That's what our system did. Our judges yet again failed us. And they keep failing us. Who's talking about judges? Oh, wait, nobody but me. We can about more cops, DA, whatever. The judges are failing us. They are supposed to judge. It's kind of in their fucking name. You're supposed to judge. They don't. They go, well, whatever. What makes my party happy? I'll do that. It's an embarrassment.
He began making crazy and erroneous calls to 911 and had subsequent interactions with the police in which they did attempt to get him to use mental health resources. Unfortunately, voluntary mental health treatments are not going to keep a determined psychotic person off the streets. Now, reacting to the murder, North Carolina Governor Josh Stein, a Democrat, writes on X, I am heartbroken for the family of Iryna Zarutska, who lost their
thoughts and prayers,
their loved one to this senseless act of violence. And I'm appalled by the footage of her murder. We need more cops on the beat to keep people safe. That's why my budget calls for more funding to hire more well-trained police officers.
More money.